Hey, I'm Don from Music Matters Media Production, and you are?
AJ from Fire from the Village. What's going on, guys?
And this band is the Kick-Ass Band. I saw them for the first time at the Band's World Tour. So how was that tour for you guys?
Man, phenomenal. You know, we as a band grew up as all kind of like, you know, hardcore kids and the scene, you know, so we were very familiar with the Warped Tour scene. We've been going for years. I went to my first Warped Tour on Randall's Island in New York City in 2001, and I had never been exposed to anything like that. I'd always been to like shows and stuff, but I didn't know what Warped Tour was. I heard about it.
Right.
A buddy of mine from California who had moved to New York, a really good friend of mine, took me, and I was like, this is it.
Right. Because the cool thing about Band's Warped Tour is, like I was explaining to some fans outside, was Band's Warped Tour takes a lot of underground musicians who never get to play in front of tons of people and puts them in the forefront.
It broke, so many bands broke out of Warped Tour. I mean, so many artists. First time I heard Katy Perry, she was on Warped Tour.
Right.
Deftones, I had heard of Deftones before, but I knew Deftones had done Warped Tour before they blew up. I know Eminem was on Warped Tour.
Right.
At one point, man, so many artists.
Right.
You know, and that's what's the good thing, man. Kevin Lyman is a genius, dude. You know, he's a smart guy, and he's done really well. And I really hope that despite the changing landscape of music, that there will be at least a lot more for Warped Tour to go. You know, some different format or so. You know, I just hope it keeps it alive. It's a phenomenal thing.
The festivals are like being a musician myself. Festivals tend to make it so there's more people in one place, and then there's so many more things to do. It actually keeps the people involved.
Right. Yes. Exactly.
Especially like what like I was saying, newer bands, and you get a whole bunch of different genres on the Band's Warped Tour.
Right. And as an artist, man, it's like even on Warped Tour, every day was different.
Right. Every day.
And I wasn't bored if I was like hanging out by myself.
Right.
I could walk around the world for like 20, 30 minutes and have a good time.
And you get to engage with the fans, you know,
Yeah.
which is really that's the biggest thing about what bands don't get is the engagement with the fans, because that gets you closer and it makes them feel more personal, and that's how they build. You build on that.
Exactly.
And then like even when you're
Oh,
like
you don't mind me.
no, you can do it. But even like your songwriting and stuff like that, you can take somebody's personal experience and build on that, right? Like your own.
Hence the reason why we wrote a record called Narrative.
Right.
Yeah, a lot of it is about my story and who I am as a person, but I think it's very relatable because there are a lot of people that walk those paths in life and have been through some of the things that I've been through, and they can relate.
Right.
And it can also be their narrative. So it's like everyone's just sharing in a common story about a common underdog,
Right.
and knows what it is to be there. So I think that's why the record's doing well, and why people are really starting to listen to the message.
Which is great because you've also been a world traveler.
Very much so, man. I've been around.
So tell me a little bit where you've been.
I went to boarding school in Ghana, West Africa. Stayed in the UK. My family is Jamaican, and I've lived here in the States, and I've lived in many places in the States. So I have a very diverse background, and I've been exposed to a lot of things in life. And I generally like to keep an open mind, and I was taught that from a very young age, because my family is very eclectic, we're a very different bunch, but yet we're family, we're related by blood and relations of sorts. But I try to keep an open mind and an open heart to the rest of the world. So I like to absorb things from other cultures that I've picked up along the way, and especially living in New York City, in a global city like New York City, or a global city like London. You learn from so many different cultures, and you pick up so many different things. And I think at this stage of my life, I was able to integrate that into my music and be able to really tell the story the way I wanted to.
No, so most of the songs are written from your perspective.
Yes.
Which is great because you're able to sing with the emotions that you want people to feel from the words you're writing.
Exactly.
So what are some of your influences? Not the bands, but your
me
personal
specifically, man. We'll start with music.
Right.
I grew up listening to reggae, gospel, punk rock came a little bit later in life, and then once it was like punk rock, and I saw that there were other things that stemmed from punk rock, like metal and hardcore, hardcore punk, and I started learning all of these these different musical styles, and then the people attached to them, those characters, and you start to develop an affinity for these people, and they become your hero.
Right.
And so guys like Zach De La Roca, HR from Bad Brains, these people became these icons. And even Sonny from POD, man, like I lived my life by that code. Southtown, that's all. You know what I'm saying? Sendo is out here, Cypress Hill, it's huge.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Huge people that didn't care about the guidelines to which people live their lives. They don't care about the stereotypes.
Right.
They don't care about the color of their skin or their background, because that to me is, and that philosophy is the way to which I've always tried to live my life.
Right.
And when you meet people that can convey that story through music, you do it. And Bob Marley, jazz was, my grandmother hung out with like big jazz greats back in the day in New York, and she put a Miles Davis record in my hand when I was a kid, and I started playing trumpet.
Right.
Lee Morgan. So it's everywhere, all
Right.
over the place. Man.
Yeah, and you kind of, people feed off of the energy. As a musician myself, I know that there's some music out there that gives me tons and tons of energy.
Right.
And you can feel, like, I heard one of your songs the other night, it was from one of your videos, and I said, wow, they have a little feel of Pantera, but yet they still have their own thing.
Yeah,
you had
people
the
say
energy,
that, man.
right? Which, and being compared to Pantera is not a bad thing.
No, not at all.
I mean, I'm a glam guy, and I still love Pantera.
Yeah. They had
but-
that 1 year when they were like kind of glammy back. in
Yeah,
the
but
day.
you guys have some, you have some strong riffs in the guitars, but yet still very melodic, still very rhythmic on the drums even, because I'm a drummer myself, so I can
Okay.
hear, like he's bringing a little bit of reggae style in with the rock stuff,
Yeah.
he's rocking it up.
Yeah,
I hear that,
Yeah, man.
which is a cool thing, because that's what gets people's bodies moving and gets them to be more into the music, and
Right.
you see that
It's
as a
like,
performing artist.
despite being such a diverse band, we like to keep it heavy and keep it as metal as fuck. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because we're metalheads. We love heavy music, so we're not going to steer away from that just because we want to appeal to a larger, broader audience.
So you're
I think-
staying true to yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Very much so.
Right, that's the most important thing, because being from the 80s, a lot of bands try to appeal to other people.
Of course.
And that kind of destroyed some bands.
They were forced to.
Right,
They were
right.
forced to because that's what people did at that time. But I think our generation now, and why certain genres like making a comeback, like new metal's making a comeback, because like our generation, we grew up in the kind of hodgepodge that music had made. Metallica was there, Pantera was there. Then Lamb of God came, and then Sepultura, then the Kill Switches of the world. So they were all kind of indicative of what happened before that.
Right.
But we took everything because we grew up in the hip hop era.
Right.
We grew up in the reggae era with the crossover music. We grew up in the pop era, so, but we still like heavy music. So what do? We gotta put it all together. And that's why so many of these bands, like the Silers of the world, the A Day to Remembers of the world, these bands have their own niche and genres and shit, but there's a very eclectic sound through that resonates. And like on this Warped Tour, so many bands, you heard it, the Hands Like Houses of the world, are phenomenal bands. Out Last Night, you hear all the pop influences, but then you still have that heavy vibe to it, a heavy edge, exactly. And it keeps it true, and it keeps it sort of pure. And even though people might say, the genre is oversaturated, people like to throw that word around, and they might say that it's crowded, but the bands that really stand the test of time, and the bands that really are able to come out, are the bands that are doing it right.
Right, and staying true to
And
themselves.
staying true to, exactly.
And not only that, but I see that like things like Vans Warped Tour, when the fans are there, they go there to see like one certain band, and they walk out
Right.
with a whole different outlook on other bands. Like,
Very much so.
Like I've never heard of the Barbados before in my life.
Right.
I've never heard of Valiant Tour in my life. But they all came off the same stage you were on. And then we were at that stage like the whole day, and that's the music we went home with, you know. And
That Valiant Thor has the essence of a classic rock band.
right, so much energy.
With an edge, with a heavier vibe, with a more
And
modern
groove.
vibe, you know, and the groove.
Yeah.
And you know that they're nothing against American shows or American festivals, but their audience in Europe is massive.
Massive, right?
You know, so and you wouldn't have known it, but again, for those that know, Valiant Thor has been around for a while,
Right.
and they've garnered a heavy, dedicated fan base in places outside of the country and even within the country, within their own scene.
Right.
And they hadn't done Warped Tour. I was speaking to Herbie, and he was like, "Man, we haven't done Warped Tour since like '03 or something
Right.
like
And they
that."
did like 3 or 4 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As did like
because
Municipal
when I
Waste had never done it, but they've been around forever.
right when I interviewed them, he was, you know, we were talking about like his past in the Valiant or in the band's Warped Tour, and he was like, "Yeah, we've been on this," and I never heard of him. I've been to many bands Warped Tours,
Right.
and I still never heard of him. But I can tell you, walking out that day
Yeah.
on that stage, there was so much energy on that stage. Like I said, you guys, Barbed Wire Dolls and Valiant Thor all on the same stage, all on the same day. And then we ended the night with Guar getting splattered with
Oh, you
blood,
guys got
know.
Guar, yeah.
Yeah, like I've seen Guar many times.
Of course, yeah.
And my partner has never seen Guar, and she's a photographer, and she was wondering why people have plastic on their cameras. And I said,
Oh, yeah.
So how cool was it to see Guar? You know?
No, dope. We actually struck up had a really good relationship with those guys.
Right.
We were gonna go out with them on tour in the fall. We kind of passed up for some other things, personal reasons, and we're doing this POD run,
Which fits your style.
which we
too.
really wanted to do
Right.
for sure. And but those guys are phenomenal. You know, just soaking in knowledge from them, being around for so long, and they're goofy dudes,
Yeah,
man. And they
they're
keep
fun.
it so they keep it very fun, man. You know.
Yeah, very fun. Like I've seen them in small venues, and I've
Uh-huh.
seen them in big venues, and they are no different. you know?
Yeah, yeah.
And they're very cool with their fans. You know.
I've heard it's better in the club. I've never seen Guar, but I met Dave Brocky years ago when I
Right.
used to live in Virginia. I met Dave Brocky in Richmond. I was tour manager and working for a band called Halo Locust, and they had the same practice space.
Right.
So one day, Halo Locust was Randy from Randy Yards on the band, and so Dave was hanging out with Randy, and I met him, and I was like, "It's crazy."
Yeah.
But I'd never seen Guar. I've always known him, and I saw the Dave Brocky Experience, DBX.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's good stuff.
Yeah, it
There-
was, man.
The music, like I was never familiar with what we call the new metal genre. I was a glam
Right.
guy, like I said, but there was so much talent in the new metal scene.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like when Chester took his life. I was like real. I do a lot of things for suicide awareness. I did, but to lose somebody like that, he was an icon.
Oh, very much so.
And then when people like through suicide prevention, I speak out and I do talk about people like when Chester appears one way, but he has another life.
Exactly.
You know, and that's what people don't get is the dark
That's
side.
humanity, isn't it?
Right, and not everybody gets that dark side of life, and everybody has it. It's just some people don't know how to deal with it.
I'm glad you brought that up because this tour, having dealt with the issues of depression and stuff like that through all of my life, and being exposed to mental health and severe issues that people in my family have suffered from, my manic depression, and my mom, and my aunt, I wanted to get a little bit more involved in suicide awareness, and I've been speaking, during the set, and talking about it a lot. But I think I'm going to take up a more active role because it's something that you look at the numbers and you look at the type of the people and the people that you speak to and the amount of people that you wouldn't even think.
Right.
Because it's a shocker, and it's sad to say that it took, Chris Cornell and maybe Chester for a lot of people to wake up, because it's like, like you said, we view these people in a different light, and we put them on this pedestal, but then we forget about their humanity.
Right, the humanity.
We forget that they suffer from the same issues, and in black culture, man, and in black families, it was never really a thing. Mental health was something that we attributed to being poor.
Right.
Like, all right, now we'll just go out and work and make money and occupy yourself. You'll be happier.
Right. Which
Because
some people can do that.
exactly,
Other people can't.
other people can't.
A lot of people in just every day, whether it's an actor, like say Robin Williams, people see him as a funny man. Next thing you know, he's taking his life. Because people they don't let them see that side. We call it the silent killer. Suicide is the silent killer.
Very much so.
And not only that, but you live in London.
Cool.
Suicide is huge over London.
People say they want to attribute it to like the weather and stuff like that. I think they're in Seattle or Binghamton in New York, but it's like, you know, we are still putting it on the back burner as a society. We are still looking for reasons instead of what the real reason is, that we have to back each other up, and there's a lot more factors, a lot of things that we are disregarding that would push a person to that, or just the chemical imbalance, or the science of it.
The one thing I always said about the hardest thing about mental health and resolving that is every case is different. They don't know what it takes. Like everybody has a different kid that will push them here, there, whatever. And some people, like I just celebrated 26 years of sobriety. You know, from alcohol and drugs and whatever. And I can honestly say that as bad as my addictions were, I never felt that dark side because I don't know. Now there's other people who drink excessively to get away from the dark side.
Right.
And
or push themselves there.
Or push themselves there, right. So
you wallow in it, which is weird, but it's not weird. It's just you have to, how can I help you, my brother? You know what I'm saying?
Right. Well, that's another thing. Like in the music business, we tend to all band together. So through like say something tragic, like what's happening in say Texas and Florida right now, you will see probably within 10 days a bunch of musicians from all types of music banding together to do some kind of huge concert benefit.
Right.
Because that's what we do.
Right.
And we as musicians know that we are best off working together than against each other in this business, and because there's enough of that in the world politically, where you have this one fighting against that, and it's all who has the money and who wants to pay to get this and that resolved or whatever, and that's not the way it goes. It's just like say even racism in America or whatever. It's fueled by only a few, but felt by millions.
Of course,
right?
Exactly.
And,
a ripple effect.
Right, it's a ripple effect, and that's what sucks.
So.
That's what sucks is because so many people call it racism in America, which is really colorblind, because the only people who are racist are the ones who are colorblind. Everybody else sees everybody as humans.
Right, I know what you mean.
Yeah, we see each other as humans. It doesn't matter your color, your religion, or whatever. Right. It's the humanity and person you hold inside.
Exactly.
And it's only those who are ignorant that
to it, exactly. That'll express it in the, whether it be through violence or just through really nasty words and a mindset and a philosophy. But you know, that's not a conversation for another time. But it's just one of those things. Like it'll take you there. You know?
Right. We will never see the end of it because we will always have people who just are stupid in a sense.
True that. Right. But I mean, then there's policy too.
Right. Policy.
I mean, there's a lot of policy, and once the racist policies don't end. Once they end, then that's at least one step to educating someone and educating our children and our future generations on what it is to respect the value of human life.
Right. So let's get back to like the depression side. So you as a musician, you said that you dealt with depression or whatever. Do you feel like playing your music gives you a release to really get it out there, and even to like say teach somebody else that they're not alone?
Really. Yeah, I mean that's exactly what I say. You're not alone, and it's through music that I've been able to exercise those demons, sort of. But you know, it isn't the end all be all, because there are still a lot of factors that you can't solve every problem with just one thing, so to speak. But you know, I'm working harder on redeveloping relationships with my family, and you know, dealing with a lot of my issues. And music has been extremely therapeutic, and I need it. And especially when I'm playing heavy music, I need to do that. But you know, there are a lot of things that I think I need to work on as a person in order to fully feel that I am doing okay, I can be better, and then I want to impart that to someone.
What do you guys have planned for, you know, Fire from the Gods going forward and stuff? I know you guys have 2 albums out, right?
We've got one. One Narrative, and then Narrative Retold is an extension of Narrative, basically. It's an extended version. We put 3 new songs on it. But we're gonna tour again. We haven't announced the next fall tour, but we're gonna be doing something late fall, early winter, and then take the holidays off as everyone would, and then pick up in January. We're booking some tours now, and you know, it's just another step. We'll probably over the holiday try and maybe do a single or something like that. I don't want to write another record or release another record until the world is blue in the face with narrative.
Right. Which is a great thing, because a lot of bands release something too early. They're still on tour,
Right.
and people it really doesn't get, the old stuff hasn't really dissolved yet.
No,
You remember, well, you know the band Kiss.
of course.
They used to put out 3 albums per year.
Yeah,
And-
see, I don't want to do that.
Right, and what's funny is a lot of people out there only listen to 1 or 2 albums.
But their popularity demanded it.
Oh yeah,
Which I think is a good thing and a bad thing. But in today's world, you know, in today's market, people they want more music. They want it right on the right on the spot. But I do believe in the long game, because I think that's the only way to achieve real longevity and staying power. And why bands like POD or Korn and why bands like even Metallica are still so very relevant today.
and like even Metallica, they learned that put something up a few years.
Yeah.
You know, because
Like a tool.
that one album was totally trash. Just a few years ago, like about 10 years ago, they put out that one that was
Saint Anger?
Yeah, it sounded like a garbage can was being hit for a snare drum, and they learned their lesson. And then they waited a few years and they put out something that was pretty good, you know.
Very much so.
So the band has some influences.
Very much so.
What are the big influences?
The guys, man, we're a different bunch, but like I said, we have that common love.
And that's what creates the music when you have
for
guys.
heavy stuff. Yeah. Richie was born in Germany, and he kind of got the whole vibe, just like what spilled out of the States, you know. So he got the big bands, the Rage Against the Machines of the world, and I know Killswitch Engage is actually, I think, one of his favorite bands. So, you know, he got the metalcore stuff and a little. I think, he also was like in a Nirvana cover band when he was a kid.
Right. Which is a bad thing, because I killed the Glams.
Yeah, so, I know that's a thing, right? That's what everyone used to say. But you know, so that was Richie, and Bonner played some country bands back in the day as a kid. But you know, then I know he got into like Poison the Well and more of the noise core kind of stuff, and like the Bled, and you know, bands that I like as well. Like, we all kind of love these bands, but you know, it's a little stronger. You can tell from each member. Like Jameson is really into like Silverstein and Somewhere in November, you know, stuff like that, and like Thrice and shit like that. Which we all love these bands together, but each one of us has like their love for that one thing a little bit more, and then it shows in the way we play and the type of music. Drew used to be in like this tough guy hardcore band called Insurgents, and you can tell by his playing style and you know the way he moves and the way the type of music that we produce together, and you know we're just all over the place, man. But we love music, we love hip hop equally. We love listening to each other's influences. You can always tell who's driving by the music. You know, like you'll wake up during the trip, and it'll be like some heavy ass like German hip hop. You can't understand the words, but it's grooving, and then Richie's up there, you know, doing his thing.
Hip hop,
you know, just hip hop, and like, but it's like it's in German, so we don't understand it. But then you know, like J-Mo will be driving, you know. He listens to like podcasts of like comedians and shit, but when he turns on music, it'll be like Thrice or one of those type of bands, you know, or something, something, you know, like older Memphis Mayfire and shit like that.
So now that you've been on tour, what's the funniest thing or weirdest thing or craziest thing that's happened on tour?
Man. We have a lot of those kind of stories, dude,
But I'm sure your fans want to hear
Yeah. Well, oh, man. We always tell the story, which isn't funny. We tell the story about the most impactful thing we saw. We saw a guy get hit on a motorcycle, which bugged us out. Dude should have stopped at the stoplight anyway, but we saw the shit. Like it was like 10 feet.
And it's
away
in slow
from us.
motion when shit happens.
Yo, crazy. Bike went flying, dude went flying. He ended up passing away, but you know, rest in peace, my man. John Sullivan was his name. We found out. But some other crazy wild shit, man. Warped Tour brought about a lot of good stories. The first few days of Warped Tour, we had this piece of shit bus that we named the Roach, and we were in Phoenix in like 120 degree heat with no AC, just sitting there stewing.
I've been on the desert before, right on gas.
Oh
so,
my
you know,
God.
so you're not the only one.
Oh, yeah, but we've had some wild ones, man. I remember one time, like everyone was like bracing for impact because we were leaving. It was during the winter, and we were leaving Portland, Oregon, to get to Sacramento, and everyone was like, "That mountain pass is dangerous. You're all gonna die." You know, it's like, don't say that, you know. But everyone's like, "Yo, make sure you put chains on the tire because you're gonna be driving on the side of the mountain. You might fall." Blah 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 blah. You know, and that's a serious thing. A lot of bands, especially when you're doing van tours and whatever it may be, you know, shit cannot be. Sometimes it's not safe.
Right.
You know, a lot of people have passed away, and a lot of people have gotten to bad wrecks, but this one was just like doomsday. So everyone's like, "Yo, we might not make it," you know.
That must be a drummer.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's our trouble. But
Always making noise.
yeah, yeah, dude. But we've had some wild ones, man. We've probably drank sometimes a little bit too much, you know.
But the cool thing about like your tour is you're actually driving from location to location.
Yeah.
So you get to see the beauty of America.
Oh man,
Which
in
a
all
lot
its glory.
you know what's funny is I lived in New York City myself, and I learned from a lot of people living in New York City. They thought the whole rest of the world looked like New York City, like
Yeah.
big cities, and it's not like that. You
No,
go out,
strip malls and McDonald's.
right, you know,
But,
and traffic everywhere.
Yeah, dude.
But you go out Midwest,
Yeah.
and you see farmers, and you see green grass, and people
It
don't
gives you-
realize that these big, huge skyscrapers don't exist everywhere in America.
It gives you this kind of this pride, and it instills this sort of this affinity for the culture of our country, the diversity in our country. Because like you say, you see the farmers, and to me, my philosophy is no matter. Although I was born in New York City, and you know, this farmer is born in Idaho. We still have a common goal in life, and we still hold a common creed, and that's life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And that shouldn't matter because I was born in New York, and you know, you're from Florida or you're from Utah. Yes, we're very different people, but that's the beauty of who we are, and that's the legacy that I think we want to leave, and the imprint that we want to leave is that through diversity and through many, we can be one. And you know, you see these beautiful sweeping landscapes, and it just makes you appreciate nature, the world, the universe, and your place in it. But also because of, you know, maybe some of the nationalism that we, no matter how much you don't want to be that type of person, it's still there. Because we've all grown up with that love for our country and our culture. So, you know, I think it's gorgeous. I think it's one of the most beautiful places in the world. And I've seen some awesome places.
And living outside of America, you have seen that people, like farmers or whatever, are really truly the backbone of the world. You know, it's not all, you know, men walking in suits.
No. They're
running the country, but the guys who are out digging farms all throughout the world are the guys who are making the world.
Those are the people that I think we need to fight for.
But you have been amazing to talk to and stuff like that, and I know you want to go and preserve your
Yeah, we're
voice.
going to eat. Exactly.
And eat.
Thank you so much. Nice to meet you, man.
I wish you guys the best of luck.
Thank you very much, man.
You know, we'll definitely keep in contact. We have contact with your agent, so we'll get back and forth.
No worries.
And, definitely, I
Awesome.
can't wait to rock out with you.
Yeah, no worries, man. Good to meet you.
Good seeing you.